Nope. Alright. Man, I really look like crap. Wearing that hat for a while and stuff. Oh well. What can you do? Alright. Let's start going over this. What do you guys say? Alright, spoiler free. Yeah, but at the same time, this time I mean, I've beaten the game before without spoilers, but this time around I asked for stuff. But it's not like it influenced actually beating the game. Music. I love the music in this game. I really do. It's definitely got Capcom written all over it. Someone made a point of saying that it was like a bit tinny here and there. I could hear that when I was really focusing on it and stuff like that this time around. I heard a lot of that. But it doesn't take anything away from me for it. I still really like it. Like, here's a track right here that I love. It's slow, it's simplistic, it's unique. The areas in the game that you're at have, like, really good music and stuff like that as well. I'd say my biggest disappointment with it is that many of the dungeons in the game don't have any different type of music. They're just the same. It's just the same dungeon theme again and again and again. And, that's always a little disappointing when you're doing a lot of dungeons in games like this. Whether it's because of limitations or just whatever ended up being the reasoning behind it. I think that overall the OST for the SNES is just, it's really solid. I think there are some that are slightly better for the SNES, but I would definitely take the music over this one, or in this one over the first one. I really enjoy it. I'm kind of like on a 7 or an 8 for this. I feel like the lack of dungeon music kind of pushes it back a little bit. And what's up, Solomon? But again, there's so many tracks in this game that I just love. Like, I could listen to almost the whole OST and really enjoy it. So I'm gonna say that I'd give it about a 7.5, and in this case, I'm gonna round it up to an 8. Alright. Graphics for the era. So, the game looks really, really good. The sprite work and stuff like that, how they're slightly larger in the battles, is really cool. Granted, they don't do very many animations. But then you have the shaman system where the sprites look different as well. The magic attacks and stuff like that look pretty cool too. Some of the bosses and the sprite works for them are really, really well done as well. Like, it just looks great. The game looks great. You don't see very many bosses like the ones you do in Breath of Fire games. The attention to detail, it's astounding. Like, the little moving parts and stuff like that in the bosses and everything else. It really brings them to life. It's really cool. Especially something that's like really giant and on the screen and moving in front of you and doing attacks and stuff like that. It's really cool to me. I'd say that where this game lacks kind of is the dungeon design. I feel like a lot of the palettes are used a lot, and a lot of the areas look pretty similar with maybe just a slightly different color to them. But that's not to say that the dungeons aren't interesting. Some of them are pretty unique as well. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 7. I'd say that if there was some slightly better dungeon design and things like that, that I'd start putting it up there. But the character art and things like that, all the different characters and everything else that you... I'm thinking here, like, I'm really on the fence about it because I really like the sprite work and stuff like that in this game. So the sprite work, The sprite work's really, really well done. I like the different things with the shamans as well. I like how those are different. But the actual sprites that you like can see on the map and stuff like that, they don't show a whole lot of emotion. They've got like the little spurts of sweat that come up about them and things like that, or they do like an attack. But there's some really cool animations for some of the characters, like the one where Ryu's got his hand up at the end and he's like shaking and things like that. And he's just like, he's sitting there and he's waiting and he's trying to save his friends and there's nothing he can do. That looks really cool. The one where Kat is sitting in front of the fire as well and she's thinking. Like the unique sprites that you see, I wish we could have seen a little bit more of them. But I still really like how the game looks. It's really charming to me. And it's just something I'm definitely never going to forget in that regard. Alright, so story, I feel like the story in Breath of Fire 2 is probably the weakest aspect of it, especially since story has a lot to do with characters and character development. You're kind of pushing forward with the game at a decently steady pace. You don't necessarily know like who the big evil is and things like that for a while, or really what your goal is. But there is no real character development because you have that option to switch your characters in at any given time. So the game kind of takes a back seat in that regard to developing the characters because it doesn't know what characters you're going to have at any guaranteed position in time. So they got some type of generic dialogue, which we've seen in many, many SNES RPGs and things like that, where the characters just don't have their own place because the game doesn't know who you're going to take. Breath of Fire 2 tries really hard to make up for that by giving each character like their own side scenario, but those tend to be more of the like tedious, uninteresting things too. The one with Nina especially, like I like the story element with that and the story that you get from it, but the fact that she's by herself and has to survive battles where she basically gets two-shot and stuff like that, it becomes this whole thing of an RNG fest of like, oh, I hope I don't die. But the story itself is interesting in that regard. Yeah, almost everyone gets their own arc, I guess, except for Blue. They get their own little story arc. Rand's is the worst by far, because you almost have to have him in your party to be able to beat that boss that he has to fight. And if you do not use him up until that point, you're either going to have to do a lot of grinding. You better hope that you have specific items that you can take the boss out with. Whatever, you have to be prepared for it. So someone that's playing through the game the first time might really struggle with that part, unless they've leveled Rand up. Or they have the cooking guy and they know how to make really strong damage items and things like that. It's just not executed very well. And it's their way of forcing story for the characters to get a little bit of plot in between all the characters. The game definitely gets a little bit darker as time goes on. There's some bittersweet moments for sure. But the story, I feel, is probably one of the weakest aspects of it. So I'm kind of like on the... I'm gonna give it a 6 for where the story is concerned. And, so, well, actually, you know what? One thing I do want to go over, too, is the uniqueness of Breath of Fire. I'm gonna push it up in that regard. So, look at all the different areas you go in this game. You go to an area that's completely controlled by monkeys and things like that, and they use themselves to bring up the elevators, and then you're inside Sima Fort with all the frogs and things like that, and you're in the sewers collecting bugs. You go to a restaurant that's only for witches and things like that, and they try to cook you. We're inside of a lady in Dunland so that we can kill the fatty enemies inside of her so that she loses weight. It's so goofy and silly and fun and something I have not really experienced, especially at that time when the game first came out. It's so unique, and it's a lot less serious until the end, and I want to give it more credit there. And I think that's just kind of a thing that Breath of Fire takes with it. I feel like the story's maybe gotten a little bit more serious as as more titles have come, but you definitely have to give it credit for being unique and being fun and interesting. And really, like I said before, it's just really, really charming. You're not going to play another game where you do some of that type of stuff. You'll never see it again. So, yeah, I'm going to give it a little bit more in that regard. Alright, so mechanics. It's standard, pretty much, turn-based RPG. characters have unique abilities and things like that. They have abilities that kind of separate them a little bit, at least. They have their own unique ability that they have. They have the shaman abilities and things like that. You have the dragon form, which is pretty broken and glitched, and probably a thing you're going to be relying on more often than not. But I'd say that if you are willing to grind a bit in this game, you don't really have to go with the dragon strategy. Even though it's probably the easiest thing to do, I don't think that it's necessary. But you're going to have to be a significantly higher level than what I was. And don't ever expect your damage to get that high. The shaman forms are awesome, but they're very hard to keep. So although it's this really cool thing that you get to do, keeping it to a boss in the first place is really difficult. And keeping it on a boss, because of like the damage calculations and stuff like that in this game, are really ridiculous. It's really hard to utilize them and have fun with them. You also don't get a lot of the shamans until closer to the end of the game, so you don't really have too many things you can do with some of the characters. So if you've got your favorite set of characters and you don't have the Holy or the Devil Shaman, then you're out of luck. There's not a whole lot that you can do there. So it's got a lot of interesting things and interesting approaches and stuff like that, but I feel it doesn't exactly execute everything the best that it could, especially the dragon forms. Between them being glitched because they don't do elemental damage like they're supposed to. The fact that you drained all of your MP to use them, and then it basically gives you no reason to ever use any of the lower forms, because why? You just do more damage doing the higher forms and it costs the exact same amount of AP. Why would you ever try to do anything else? They become insignificant. And again, you can easily get into the heal, Ryu, and dragon spam. The game kind of like puts it in your face that since it does so much damage, why not do that? Why not just use every other character to keep him alive so that he can do the damage? And I definitely think that that's a flaw as well. It makes me a little bit less interested to try other characters and see how unique they are and what they can do, because Ryu's just so strong. Let's just build a party around keeping him alive. So I'm going to go ahead and give the mechanics a 6. I definitely feel like there's a lot of really interesting aspects. I just feel like they weren't executed very properly. Alright, so grinding. Again, you can definitely beat this game without grinding. You absolutely can beat the game without grinding. However, the random encounter rate is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I did not remember it being as bad as this. I gotta be honest, I really didn't. It really caught me for a loop that it was as bad as it was. And then, is it on the level of Quest 64? I think Quest 64 is a little worse, but at least in Quest 64 you can run. You can actually get away from the fights pretty easily in Quest 64. So you get in more fights, but you just can't run in this game. You can't. That's why Nina's shaman ability is so freaking awesome, that it gives you the ability to get out of that and just completely ignore battles because there's so many. I did win, yes. So I'm on the fence of saying that this is one of the lowest. I think it's either going to be a 1 or a 2, and I think I'm going to go ahead and give it a 2. I feel like the encounter rate was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. It wasn't quite as bad as Digimon World 2, but the encounters are so bad, and the inability to get away, and the way that damage calculations and stuff like that are in this game, you basically are expected to spam your highest level shit on every enemy encounter, or you're probably not going to be able to beat it and get your characters through. Or you better just grind so much that you have a crap ton of money, that you have a shit ton of revival items, healing items, and everything else. Yes, Infinity is absolute hell. It makes the game drag so much, and I forgot just how bad it was. I was really set in my mind that, like, this game to me was like a solid 8, and I could not think of anything that was going to start to drop it lower than that. But I gotta be honest with you, the later sections of the game and things like that, I don't miss. I don't miss going through Infinity. I don't miss the constant backtracking that you have to do near the end of the game, like looking for Patty, where you have to teleport 5 different places to get that, and things like that as well. It just felt like it dragged on a little bit. You were reaching this finality, and then all of a sudden decided it was going to do some goofy stuff that wasn't really interesting or plot relevant either. And then you have Infinity, so it was just... I don't want to think about that anymore. Anyway, to me, I'm really on the fence. It's about a 7.5 for me. It's very close to about a 7.5, but I don't think it's quite there. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 7, and you guys know I don't round up. I will round your guys' up, but I don't round mine up, so I'm gonna give it a 7. I'd say it's pretty close to a 7.5 overall. Alright, let's see what you guys... Crap. I forgot I had to do math. I'm gonna get my calculator. Yeah, well, like I said, I was leaning towards an 8, and now I just remember how much I really dislike the end of that game. If I think about replaying it again now, I don't ever want to redo that part again. I don't. Like, it's enough to make me not want to play the game because of that terrible section in the game. Alright, let me do some math. Thank you for voting, guys. I really appreciate it. Alright, and overall you guys gave it an 8, exactly, actually. Alright, will I play this again? Sure, but not for a long time. Alright, what's today? Took us 30 hours... 5 minutes and 41 seconds. Alright, guys. That means you know what time it is. It is raffle time. All you have to do is type in the word raffle. You're entered in a chance to win and pick the next game that I play. It's as simple as that. If you tend to lurk and things like that, feel free to just jump in, type in the word raffle. You have just as much of a chance to win as everyone else. If Nightbot wins, then I will set up 5 games for you guys to pick from, and we'll do a straw poll of those games. And you don't have to put the exclamation point in front of it. You can just type in the word. It'll work regardless. I'm just letting you know that you don't have to do the exclamation point. I still remember this game fondly, and I know a year from now I'll get super nostalgic and want to play it again, but dear God, screw Infinity. Holy crap, screw that area of the game. I really don't ever want to do that area again. I really don't. I just don't. You should get on that, Fitz. I'll let it go for another minute or so, guys. Again, all you have to do is type in the word raffle, and you get the chance to pick the next game that I play. Yep. Mew. Mew, 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 mew. That was good timing, then. Good. Don't have to hear that song anymore. Alright, this is perfect Raffle music right here. Alright, guys. Good luck, everyone. Thanks for sticking around. Wish you all good luck. Let's see who wins here. 3, 2, 1. Hey, Fitz, congratulations. You did it. You did the thing. FFTA, Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. Is that what you're picking? All right. 53. We already did FF15. First time played. No. Here's the fishing music, even though I never did any fishing. All right. Alright, so next is Pure Solar, picked by Toon Monk. And after that, we've got Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. I can't remember if I ever beat that or not. I know I got really close to the end, but I can't remember if I ever beat it. Pure Solar, however, I've never tried, never played, don't know anything about other than some visuals that I've seen, so that'll be interesting. That'll be completely new. But anyway, you know what we do, guys. We're gonna go ahead and try and raid somebody, because that's what we do whenever we finish a game. So think of something that you want to say from Breath of Fire 2 that we can spam in someone's chat. No problem, Chaos. Thank you for sticking around. Brave men of the Durgan. Go to hell, Infinity. Someone might take that as me, like, yelling at them. There you go, Nakurti. To Infinity and never again. But in a Buzz Lightyear voice. Go ahead and get your spams ready, guys. Let's see here. There's not a whole lot of people streaming, so let me see if I can find someone streaming. Anybody have anybody they know that's streaming that's doing like a speedrun or anything like that? Anything that they'd be appreciative of a raid? I'm looking around. I'll see if I can find someone that's doing RPGs. Yeah, RPG Limit Break's gonna be a bit yet, though. Man, there's a lot of people streaming RPGs, but I don't really consider these RPGs. I would totally raid Nakurti if he was streaming. Huh, bummer. Alright. It looks like I found someone that's doing some Chrono Trigger, so we're gonna raid them. I have no idea who this person is. Show them some love. Hopefully they are content with a raid. But guys, spam it to infinity and never again. All right, spam it for them. Feel free to fill it with your own emotes as well, whatever other stuff you want to do. I'd really appreciate it. Well, if we get banned, we get banned.